we are in excretion, the last part of pharmacokinetics. So excretion is nothing but it is defined as the kinetics of elimination. So we can understand like excretion, elimination, right? So it is nothing but having some important terms or important kind of subheadings we are going to learn in this chapter is clearance, plasma half-life, plateau principle, target level strategy, and prolonged drug action. So let us see them one by one. So first we need to know the definition of excretion. It is nothing but the passage out of the systematically absorbed drug. So systemically absorbed drug, how we are getting out of the body, it is nothing but excretion. Till now we have, as we understood every process, so this is the last process in our pharmacokinetics, that is excretion. So in excretion, so by which means we can excrete the drug, that is mainly by, of course, urine, feces, and also by milk, that is in fetal life mother milk, exhaled hair, and saliva and sweat. So these are the ways by which we can get out the drug from our body. So first we have the urine. So from the urine, of course we know urine comes from kidney, right? So through kidney, and it's the most important channel, because we know excretion, of course, in anything, even in a natural body, or also in the case of drug, we need to eliminate mainly by our important organ, kidney. So next, coming to feces. So feces, it is mainly derived from the bile, that is, as in liver it is processed, and next it comes to the bile, and from bile it enters the feces. So feces is mainly derived from the bile, that is mainly containing the organic acids, organic bases, some steroids, all these are processed. So actually this is known as enterohepatic cycling. So what is this enterohepatic cycling? Let us understand. That is, first the organic acid, bases, as I said, this all steroids, all these are processed in the liver, and later as this are processed, they enter the bile duct, and from the bile duct they enter the gut, and again in the gut they are also processed, and in the gut they excrete as feces. We know in the gut last finally it comes out and excrete as feces, right? But here's a twist, that from the gut the process one may again get reabsorbed into the portal vein, that is again reaching into the liver, and again in the liver it is processed, and now from the liver it doesn't enter this bile duct, but it deviates its pathway, that is now the again processed one enters into the systemic circulation, and from there it enters into kidney, and from kidney it is excreted as urine. So this is how the enterohepatic cycling work out, that is some part is excreted as feces and some part is excreted as urine in the same enterohepatic cycle system. So even by milk the excretion takes place. So that one, as it's very long one, once let us understand it from our textbook lines, because it is nothing but very simple one. So milk one is nothing but the suckling infant is inadvertently may receive the drug if a mother takes the drug. So the most drug enter the breast milk by passive diffusion, and nevertheless it is advisable to administer any drug to a lactating woman only when essential, but otherwise there's no need to take a drug, because this drug may pass into fetus and cause some kind, it may be a teratogen and cause some kind of diseases or abnormalities in formation of fetus, so it is not advisable. And one more thing is, in feces, as we discussed just now, the examples of the drugs like which are defecated by feces is like erythromycin, ampicillin, rifampin, tetracycline, oral contraceptives, and also phenolphthalein. And remember that certain drugs are excreted directly from the colon, like example we have anthracene, purgatives, and heavy metals. And next one is through air, that is exhaled air, how we can, by gases, volatile liquids, it is mainly done by our lungs. And saliva and sweat also acts as excreta, but it is of minor importance. Here we have our lithium, potassium iodide, and heavy metals. And remember that even milk is of minor importance, but the major importance of excretion, as we discussed, that is our urine, and it is maintained by our kidney, right? So in exhaled air we are having examples like general anesthetics, paraldehyde, and alcohol. All these are exhaled out of from a body, so it is also one of the excretory means. So now we dive detail into our renal excretion. So first let us see here the definition, all those things. So renal excretion is nothing but the amount of drug or its metabolites ultimately present in the urine in a sum total of glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and also tubular secretion. So even that's the same thing I've also written down into my short notes. So in renal excretion, of course, kidney plays the main role. It is sum total of glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion. So let us see each in detail. So first, glomerular filtration. So in glomerular filtration, there are large pores available, and non-protein bound drugs are filtered mainly, and it is mainly dependent on plasma protein binding and renal blood flow. Next, coming to the tubular reabsorption, it depends on the lipid solubility. If it is more lipid soluble, then more reabsorbed, and also it is dependent on ionization. If it is unionized, then it can't get excreted. If it is ionized, it easily get excreted, and when it is water soluble, then also it easily gets excreted. So it should be, and remember that ionized one are not absorbed as a drug, we know that thing. And next, coming to the tubular secretion. So tubular secretion takes place by active transport of organic bases and acid. Here there is decreased concentration of free form of the drug in the tubular vessels, and there is increased dissociation of protein bound drug. So these are some important points which I have found from the textbook. And we'll see some points of tubular reabsorption here. Like examples of tubular reabsorption are aminoglycoside antibodies, quaternary ammonium compounds, parallel GFRs, creatinine clearance, so all these things. And weak bases ionize more and are less reabsorbed in acidic urine. This is one of important point. And weak acids ionize more and are less reabsorbed in alkaline urine, and that is urine is alkalized in barbiturate and salicylate poisoning, while it is acidified in morphine and amphetamine poisoning. So this is important. And the effect of changes in the urinary pH or drug excretion is greatest for those having pK values between 5 to 8, and because only in their case the pH dependent passive reabsorption is significant. So once let us check out this diagram and a schematic depiction of glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion of drugs. So FD means the free drug, BD means the bound drug, UD means unionized. So here we can understand the bound drug never gets absorbed, so it easily gets excreted, but the free drug, it may also excrete or get metabolized, we can't say its path. And UD means unionized drug, unionized drug easily get absorbed. And ID means ionized drug, of course ionized drug for sure gets excreted. And DX is highly secreted organic acid or basic drug. So organic acid or basic drug, it moves to their acidic drug in their acidic medium and basic drug in their basic medium. And just now we have discussed that weak acids ionize more and less reabsorbed in alkaline urine. So you can see this is the efferent arteriole, this is a glomerulus plasma protein, and this is the efferent arteriole. This is efferent from which it enters and efferent from which it get out. And this is a tubular cell. So here the tubular secretion or absorption takes place, and this is a tubular lumen. So that's it. And next let us move on to tubular secretion examples. So organic acid transport for penicillin, probenic uric acid, salicylates, sulfapyrazone, nitrofurantoin, methotrexate, drug gluconase, etc. And organic base transport for thiazides, quinine, prosinamide, choline, cimetide, and amiloride. And probenic acid is an organic acid which has high affinity for tubular organic anion character. It blocks the active transport of penicillin and also uric acid, but whereas the net excretion of the former is decreased and the latter is increased. So this is because the penicillin is primarily secreted while uric acid is primarily reabsorbed. This is important. Many drug interactions occur due to competition for tubular secretion. So examples, you can take salicylates, which block the uricuric action of probenic and sulfipyranozole and decrease tubular secretion of methotrexate. Probenedic decreases the concentration of nitrofurantoin in urine and increases the duration of action of penicillin and impairs secretion of methotrexate. And sulfapyrazone inhibits excretion of tolubutamide. Quinidine decreases renal and biliary clearance of digoxin. So tubular transport mechanisms are not well developed at birth, but as a result, the duration of action of many drugs like penicillin, cephalosporins, aspirin is longer in neonates. These systems mature during infancy. So kinetics of elimination, next we are going to start. So in drug elimination, one more thing, tubular secretion we have, that is organic acid transport and organic base transport are related to each other. They're having bidirectional flow, and the blood tubular also from blood and to the tubular secretion, like they're having bidirectional flow. The blood can move to the tubular secretions and tubular secretion can go to blood, and also fluid also having same type. So now let us understand the kinetics of elimination. So in the kinetic of elimination we have three important terms, that is bioavailability, volume of distribution and clearance. Bioavailability we already completed, volume of distribution is done, and only now we need to know about the clearance. So drug elimination is nothing but the metabolic inactivation along with the excretion. So clearance is the volume of the plasma from which the drug is completely removed in unit time. So here the clearance is equal to rate of elimination by concentration of plasma. That is, for example, 500 by 100 is equal to 50. So 50 is a clearance rate. So this is an example for that. And once we'll see the kind of clearance diagram here to understand some concept. So illustration of concept of drug clearance. A is a fraction of drug molecules present in the plasma are removed on each passage to the organs of elimination. So in the case shown, it requires 50 ml of plasma for the amount of drug being eliminated every minute, and clearance is 50. The same which we are shown in the text. So 10 milligram drug in organs of drug eliminated mainly by kidney or liver. So 500 milligrams per minute and 10 milligrams plasma concentration. So 500 by 10, then we'll get 50 ml per minute. Yeah, now let us see the orders, that is we have in first order kinetics, zero order kinetics, and plasma half-life in this mainly. So now we will check out our important points of first order kinetics, or also known as exponential kinetics. So this is followed by a drugs which do not saturate the process of elimination. In most of the drugs we see the first order kinetics. So here the rate of elimination is directly proportional to the concentration. So here the clearance remains constant. So we can define it like this. Formula can be otherwise defined as a constant fraction of the drug is eliminated in the unit time. And next, coming to the zero order kinetics, or also known as linear kinetics. So this follow by only very few drugs which don't saturate the process of elimination, and here the RDE is constant, that is rate of elimination, and irrespective of the drug concentration or the constant amount of the drug is eliminated. So in the unit time, that is in the unit time. Example, you can take the ethyl alcohol. And in zero order kinetics, we are also having, as a result of plasma concentration increases disproportionately with increase in dose. Examples, we are having phenytoin, tolbutamide, theophylline, and also warfarin. And next, coming to plasma half-life. So plasma half-life is a time taken for the plasma concentration to be reduced to the half of its original value. So as the name only can, half-life means half of its original value is degrees. So here we are having a semi-log graph pattern. We will understand it later. First we will see the terms here. Alpha means initial rapid decline, that is in the case of distribution, and beta means phase of elimination. So two half-lives are calculated, that is for distribution and for distribution half-life and elimination half-life, that are represented by both alpha and beta. So once we will check out that plasma half-life and this graph, so that we can understand something about that. So this is the graph we need to check out here. So the semi-log plasma concentration time plot of a drug eliminated by first order kinetics after intravenous injection. So this is how it looks. This is the plasma concentration on this log scale, and this is the time hours. And here you can see the IV drug. Alpha is representing the distribution, and beta is representing the elimination, and this is the T half in between this. You can see numericals. So how it is mentioned, what is this, let us see here. Now we will study in detail of elimination T half, or also known as beta slope, because elimination is represented by beta. So what is the half-life of the drug in the case of beta slope? So here the T half life we can write its formula as ln2 by k. So here ln is the natural logarithm of the 2, that is 0.693, and k is the elimination constant of the drug. So that is what we have given example. Then we can understand 2 grams drug is given in the body and 0.1 gram it should eliminate per hour. Then k is equal to clearance by volume of distribution, that is 0.1 by 2, then we'll get 0.05. So T half is equal to 0.692 into V by CL. 0.693 is here a constant. And how this decreases, let us see. For the first T half, 50% of the drug is present. For the second T half, 75% of the drug is present, that is 50 plus 25. And for third T half, 87.5% of the drug is present, that is 50 plus 25 plus 12. And the fourth T half, 95.7% of the drug is reduced. So at least 4 to 5 T halves are required to reduce the drug. So first order kinetics, the T half is constant. Only the V and Cl are having they're also not having any change with the dose. And in zero order kinetics, the T half increases with the dose and the clearance decreases with the dose. So these are some of the important parameters which we need to remember in this case. And here we are having some half-life of some representative drugs like aspirin for 4 hours and its T half is 4 hours, penicillin G 30 minutes, doxycycline 20 hours, digoxin 40 hours, digitoxin 7 days, and phenylbutazone 60 hours. So among this we can find that digitoxin is having higher amount of half-life. So after discussing this, let us move on to our repeated drug administration. So what is this? As the name you can understand, we are giving the drug many times. So if a drug is repeated at the short interval, it accumulates in the body until the elimination balance input and the steady state concentration is attained. So what is this? We will see it in detail, and also we are having a relationship between dose rate and average steady state. We're also having a graph over here, we'll understand it. So here we represent it by CPSS formula. CPSS is equal to dose rate by clearance. So the dose rate needed to achieve the target CPSS. So here the dose rate is equal to target CPSS into the clearance. So orally, if given, the dose rate is equal to target CPSS into clearance by fraction. Here F is a bioavailability, we know this. So this is all about that. Once let us see the repeated drug administration graph and conclude it. So relationship between the dose rate and the average steady state plasma concentration of the drug eliminated by the first order and the Michaelis-Menten zero order kinetics. So this is the average CPSS, this is the dose rate. First order will be straight like this and the zero order will be like this in the case of this drug. And next we are having the plateau principle. So what is plateau principle is nothing but when a constant dose of a drug is repeated before the expiry of 4 T half, it would achieve the higher peak concentration because some remnant of previous dose is already present in the body. So what is this, we will understand, and first we need to check out this graph. The plateau principle of drug accumulation in repeated oral dosing. Note the area of two shaded portions is equal. So if you see in the time, this is the time, this is the Planck concentration. So if you see this area under the curve, this both are similar because here the peaks are formed because of difference in the maximum and minimum time, and this is the average between them. So what is this representing? What is this? Let us check out in a theory. So here we are plateau principle, yeah. So remnants of previous dose increase the plateau. If the already we know already there is previous doses, so if we give a new dose now, already the old dose may increase the plateau. In 4 or 5 T half lives, this plateau principle we can see it depends. So this deviations depend on the close interval, that is if small doses are updated, then the plateau is decreased. And the next let us see target level strategy. Actually what we understood by this plateau is nothing but if we give a drug for a long time, means we are giving a drug, for example in one day we are giving it 5 to 6 times, then there will not be a sudden rise in plateau because the same drug you are giving 5 to 6 times. But if we give a higher dose of drug at a time, at this one time or any time, one time in a day, then what happens, suddenly the peak increases. So without increasing peak, there should be average, maximum and minimum. Between maximum and minimum, then this is about plateau principle. Next, let us see the target level strategy. So it is mainly having anticonvulsants, antidepressants, and lithium as examples. Let us see that target level strategy definition. So for the drugs whose effects are not easily quantifiable and safely margin is not big, examples we have already discussed. So here also we are having loading dose is equal to target CPA into VYF. Once we'll check out here. Yeah, target level. Yeah, next. Short at T half 2 to 3 hours. Target level is intermittent and marked fluctuation in the plasma concentration. Example in penicillin, ampicillin, erythromycin. Longer T half, that is single dose is sufficient if the T half is longer, and the toxicity is initial loading dose and maintenance dose. So initial loading dose is equal to target into V by F, and our maintenance dose is repeated at specific intervals after attaining the target CPSS. So here the two-phase dosing is like rapid therapeutic effect and long-term safety. Here we have digoxin, chloroquine, doxycycline, and prolongation of the drug action, that is mainly dependent on frequency of drug administration is decreased. Means we can give we should not give frequently, we can decrease the frequency. Improved patient compliance, decreased fluctuation in CP, and maintenance throughout the overnight. So prolongation of drug action, the methods are, what are the methods like? First one is the oral site of absorption, sustained release and control release, and parental, subcutaneous or intramuscular along with the vasoconstriction, example LA with the adrenaline, and transdermal like we can use patches, strips, ointments, and increase in plasma protein binding, so drug conjugates bound to plasma protein, and there is slow release and retarding rate of the metabolism, there is chemical modifications can be seen in case of ethinyl estradiol, which is mainly used as oral contraceptive, and retard the renal excretion, that is competing the substance. So what are these all things? Once we'll check out here and we will complete this topic of excretion and also pharmacokinetics. Next we'll move on to pharmacodynamics. So these are like simple topics. First we need to just understand somewhat concept, but more is to just remember the names. So loading dose were completed, and the case of prolongation of drug action, all this we will discuss. So actually prolongation, by prolonging absorption from the site of adhesion, and by increasing plasma protein binding, these all are in the process of prolongation of drug action. We are also having the prolongation of absorption from the administration by increasing plasma protein binding, example sulfamethoxypyridine, by retarding rate of absorption, and also by retarding the renal excretion. So here, for example, probenecid prolongs the duration of action of penicillin and ampicillin. So this is all about excretion of pharmacokinetics. So just once you can refer your textbook so that it will be easy, because it's all from textbook whatever I'm explaining. So if you just open a textbook and study by yourself, you can understand everything and just remember the names.